It would be great to have someone who could do our work for us, right? Someone to prevent us from making mistakes. Someone to assist with our routine professionally and allow us to devote our time to communicating with our closest people. If only we could get results without wasting our time for nothing. Unfortunately, it's impossible in real life. But wait, Light Forex Social Trading. Spend your time doing what really matters to you.
Good evening, guys. 8 p.m. CET, 7 p.m. London. Piotr here, and this time we are going to cover crypto market. So very short update of what is going on currently at the beginning of the new month. Bitcoin, Ethereum, that's what we are going to focus on. But as usual, guys, let's go through the risk warning. Please bear in mind, trading crypto on margin carries a high level of risk, may not be suitable for investors. You can sustain a loss of some or all initial investments, so please do not invest the money you cannot afford to lose. Seek education, gain experience before risking real money. However, past performance doesn't guarantee future results. All right, so let's start with the Bitcoin monthly chart. We were discussing previously. If you haven't seen, I strongly encourage you to visit Light Forex archive section and go through the previous video. We went through the charts with all important details. It's really worth to go and check the charts we discussed previously. Really worth. Anyway, that's the monthly chart. The red dotted line represents 2018 open, right? So the rally we've seen in June hit that 2018 yearly open, and since then we had, as a bulls, we had some troubles trying to push through that levels. So over the course of June, July, August, we've seen the upper shadows, and let me put the arrows here for us to get that details, right? And I've mentioned that that's some kind of the confirmation of the supply above or around 2018 yearly open, right? So from that perspective, the monthly chart doesn't look good. Also, what we were discussing previously, it was the thing that maybe at the end of the August we are going to avoid the situation that the market is doing lower low compared to July. And congratulations, bulls. Yeah, we made another inside bar. So that was one of the things I've mentioned that might be or might work as a light in the tunnel. Another inside bar, right? Because what we've seen in July, it was inside bar of the trading range from the June, right? So, okay, we have this kind of the supply around the 2018 yearly open, right? Then we went a little bit lower, but right now we can also say, because of those inside bars, that we have some kind of the demand, as each of the last 3 months we made higher low. Okay, let's call it some kind of the triangle if you wish. All right. What was also very, very important from the monthly perspective as well as from the weekly perspective, it was where we are going to close the month, right? Now, it was all about this weakness here ahead of the major breakdown here, right? And frankly, right now, we are holding this weakness. So again, there is a little bit of the light in the tunnel, right? That we just retest this supply from the April and May 2018, right? Because that was the supply. From here we went lower. So once we took out this supply, it might be that we are just retesting what was previously work as a supply. Now, once it's broken, should work as a zone of the possible demand. And okay, we have supply higher, but come on, it doesn't look bad here because we are holding these levels. We are holding these levels. So maybe it's a just of the retest. In that case, well, frankly, I'm so happy. The thing is, we are going to discuss within a few seconds from the lower time frame perspective. We were below 10,000 and I was afraid that we are going to see deeper dip. It's good that yesterday we got back above 10k and today we are still trying to hold above 10k. And I have a homework for you here. I have a homework for you guys, because you know, probably you are going to find plenty of different titles works as a clickbait for you to, yeah, you know, just to click, telling you that everyone knows why the Bitcoin is going higher. The truth is that probably there are a few different things connected all together, right? So your homework is to try to check the latest correlation between the price of the Bitcoin with US dollar and the US dollar with Chinese yuan. All right? You should be happy on the daily chart. You should be happy what you are going to find there. But I'm not saying that it's only because of that correlation, because we see today a little bit lower prices of the dollar versus Chinese yuan. So we have some kind of the pullback on dollar versus Chinese yuan, and we have higher prices on the Bitcoin, right? But it's your homework, guys. Check Bitcoin versus US dollar and make the comparison to the US dollar versus Chinese yuan. You are gonna be happy what we are going to see. All right, so that's the monthly chart. So you know what? I'm not gonna to say that very loudly. Rather, I'm going to whisper that. All right, I'm going to whisper that. Give me a second. On the monthly chart, we are always using red color, right? So let me change the color. And guys, I'm going to whisper that, so listen carefully. Maybe we are about to create some kind of the pennant, bullish flag, if you wish. Hopefully you can hear me when I'm whispering here. Anyway, I like this comeback right here, right now. The only thing is that at some point, I'm not saying this month, it could take some time. It could be 2-3 months. We need to get back, break through those upper shadows we've seen from the June and close above 2018 yearly open. and then confirm next month the monthly close above. If at some point bulls are going to manage to do that, well, I truly believe we might see a lot of higher levels. And you know, I gave you the risk warning, right? And we are talking about the monthly chart here. So it might take some time. It might take some time, and on the other hand, not necessarily we have to go there. But if we are going to work with some easy tools, like the easiest possible measures, right? At least we should retest the all-time high on the Bitcoin in the near future. And the near future, I'm talking about the Bitcoin halving and maybe a little bit ahead of Bitcoin halving and stuff like this. You should remember, if you are not watching it the first time, you should remember our stream about the comparison, what happened with the Litecoin half year ahead of the price action start half year ahead of the halving, and we had this type of the discussion about the Bitcoin. So we still have a time, right? So maybe some kind of the consolidation at some point towards the October and November, and then, well, I can only guess, and probably most of you can guess as well, because as long as you cannot move the market, all you can do is try to predict the next big guy's move. All right? So hopefully from the monthly chart perspective, we know what is going on. Of course, we are going to switch to the lower time frame, and we are going to discuss about the supply and demand from the lower time frame. All right? So let's switch to the weekly chart. All right, and here we used to work with equal waves as the corrections, right? In that case, at some point, if you remember what we discussed previously during our last stream, that once we are going to fall below 10k 9,800, that might open the way to the correct demand zone, possible demand zone based on the weekly chart. And we were discussing about the levels. Where is it? Geez, sorry guys. Looks like I'm not gonna do that anyway. And we were discussing the levels close to 8,500, 7,800. We were talking about this possible demand zone, which has not been retested. And guys, you can believe me or not, at some point in the future, we are going to test that level, most probably. Market doesn't like unfilled levels. Believe me. Of course, still the crypto market is relatively young, and as you know, I'm doing this stuff for almost 20 years already, mostly on the FX side. So I know what I'm talking about. I think I know what I'm talking about. The market doesn't like unfilled levels. Of course, the situation with the crypto market is a little bit different because we have plenty of different feeds. So if there is a minimum distance, then you know we can agree that it's been filled. But in that case here, I think it's not over yet, right? It's at some point we might see some kind of the shakeout to the downside. Okay. Anyway, what we are working with here. We are working with the possible demand around 9,500, right? I thought that once we are going to be below 10k, we are going to try to hunt for the stops below 9k, and that would bring us this possible demand from the weekly chart. It didn't materialize, and we are trying to get back higher. Of course, it's just the beginning of the month. So let's switch back to the monthly chart for a second, right? Let me show you something. You are not going to find this for free anywhere else, only here, Light Forex Global YouTube channel. If someone is talking about this, probably is charging you thousands of dollars. Where we should be afraid, around 11,500 and 12,200, 300. That gonna be, I'm going to show you from the daily chart perspective, retest of the swing high. Right? Anyway, we might see some kind of the rally. We might even try to take out the supply from the daily chart around 11,000. That's what we discussed, right? But we have to be very careful a little bit higher, because what we might see, hopefully we are not going to get that one, what we might see, another upper shadow and much lower close. That's the risk. That's the name of the game here, right? And again, we have to try to visualize what we are talking about, as long as we cannot move the market, as long as we are not big enough to draw the chart by ourselves, right? So far so good. From this weekly chart perspective, would be good to try to close above last week high. Would be even better to try to take out the high we've seen 2 weeks ago, right? To have this strong big candle, something similar to what we have here. All right, something similar to what we have here. So let's switch lower to the daily, and well, that's where the problems might come from. Top of the channel on the daily chart. Top of the channel on the daily chart. As well as 10,800 and 11,000 possible supply, based on what we discussed previously. Your second homework. Check how many times price reacted being above or being below. How many times price reacted around 10,800, 11,000. So I'm so happy we are above 10,000, because we are above psychological level on one hand. But market may see that things a little bit different. And right now, around 10,800, 11,000, we have top of the channel. It might be the flag, but we didn't have third touch to the downside yet. And we are again testing top of the channel. We are testing horizontal supply. Plenty of things to be worried about. So let's try to summarize the thing here. First thing first. The good is that the bulls were able to get back above 10k yesterday. So we had the first daily close above 10k. It looks like we are going to get second day in a row when we are going to have a close above 10k. Checked. That's good. That's positive. Negative. We are testing top of the channel. That's the dynamic possible supply. We are testing the horizontal level zone, 10,800, 11,000, where we saw the supply, another negative. So we have 2, 2, right? Now, if I would be able to move the market, what I would do, because two consecutive daily close above 10K somehow confirm bulls are trying to take over. That's very, very positive. So if I would be able to move the market, I would try tomorrow to take out today's high, hitting the supply, or different words, invite the bears to try to sell around the supply, so they are happy, they are starting to earn the money, and I would counter that move on the pullback, retesting the demand again around 10,200, and then without looking back, move higher. Same thing we've seen when we were moving above 5,800, 6,000 on this huge rally. I would try to make similar stuff to what we've seen here. This type of the big rally. Why? Because in that level I would even maybe let them go a little bit below 10K again to have some sellers, because at some point they are gonna be forced to close their losing position. So at some point the bears are gonna to push the price higher for me. Hopefully that's clear, but that's what the big guys can do only. Right? So trying to summarize Bitcoin right now, the good thing, as we mentioned, move back and looks like we are going to get the 2 consecutive daily close above 10K. In favor of bears, the levels we are testing right now, 10,800 and 11,000 from the horizontal perspective. If you cannot move the market, I would try to take the advantage of that range for now, meaning to the downside, let's make it a little bit wider, 10,000, 9,500 as a possible demand, and to the upside, 10,800, 11,000 as a supply, and that's how I would try to trade that from the intraday or short-term perspective, all right? Unless we are going to get the breakout or breakdown, right? So for now, I think we might say that there is a possibility we are going to start to create the range. Again, 9,500, 10,000 from the downside, and to the upside, 10,800 and 11,000. Okay, so that's how I see the Bitcoin. Let's switch to Ethereum. And here, unfortunately, no change. And I would say there is even worse than what we discussed previously, right? Because of the move below 180, right? So we broke through 980. We had a weak monthly close, very weak monthly close, soft. And what we see right now is just the retest of the broken support. So as long as we are below, let's make it round number, because we might see some kind of the spike. But as long as we are below 200, the scenario we discussed previously with the possibility of the retest, the levels even below 100, this scenario is still open, right? We are trying to hold the levels based on this weekly breakout point, but higher time frame and then daily chart, those two are against that strategy. So again, Bitcoin bulls were able to get back above 10K, right? So let's see if the Ethereum bulls are able to get back above 200. The thing is, the Bitcoin rally creating blood on the street when we are talking about the alts, right? And when we are going to check Ethereum versus Bitcoin chart, right, it's ugly. I wouldn't say it doesn't look good. Simply we have to say what we see, and that's the daily chart, and it's ugly. No signs of life. There was few attempts, right? And we were discussing this. But here, no sign of life. And from the weekly chart perspective, I thought that maybe some kind of the jumper creation, right? No, not at all, at least not for now. So the king is only one for now, and the name of the king is Bitcoin. The rest, well, we are suffering, and I've mentioned previously that we might see some kind of the bigger recovery, you know, after the Bitcoin halving. I'm sorry saying that. So be careful, guys, with alts out there. Maybe, you know, from the trading perspective, try to focus on Bitcoin, at least for now. And that's it from me today. Hopefully you are going to enjoy what we discuss. Do your homework. You have 2 homeworks. So do your homework. Check the correlation between 2 charts. I mean Bitcoin USD, and compare with USD Chinese yuan, especially lately. And your second homework, check how many times Bitcoin price versus US dollar reacted around 10,800, 11,000. Guys, it was my pleasure to be with you here with this crypto market update. All the best and see you around. Good night.